Hello and welcome. My name is Peter, and I'm here with Lisa, Kiriaki, and Emmy from the Portals of Perception Project. And today we're here to open a dialogue into happiness and your soul. And what inspired this was a 10-minute segment from a recent recording of a live event. We just published it on our website, portalsofperception.org. It's called Attuning to Your Soul.
It's still hearing the music. Can you lower the music a little?
Oh,
Thanks. It's lovely, the music. I like it.
I apologize.
No problem.
I click it and it keeps going.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So could you hear what I was saying?
Yes, we heard it clearly.
All right. So this was from a event called Attuning to Your Soul, Part 2, Happiness, Self-Worth, and Your Soul. And there's a link to this video in the show notes with the segment timings that we are here to talk about. And this is based on a work by Avisha Har called Portals into the Soul. And this is a project that's ongoing on the Portals website and unfolding on the YouTube channel. So welcome to you all. It's good to see you, good to be here, and welcome to everyone tuning in. Now, I'm an American, and as an American, the Declaration of Independence says we are free to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but we never talk about how to do that and what that means. So just to open it up today a little bit, in watching this 10-minute segment, I'm just wondering what initially struck anyone about what is being discussed.
Yes. Hello, everyone. This is Kyriaki from Athens, Greece. And it's great to be with you in another Open Circle Portals conversation. And the theme of happiness is such a crucial theme because, as it's stated in the recording, in the event, every one of us wants to be happy. Everyone is attracted to happiness and joy. But as you said, Peter, although it's one of our fundamental rights, somehow in the Western world, no one taught us what is happiness, how to be happy, what prevents happiness. Is happiness just the satisfaction of various desires, or is there a different kind of happiness that is more sustainable, more deep, maybe more spiritual? And how does that connect to the soul and to the uniqueness that each one of us has? Some thoughts that were initiated from this conversation in me were that at the first level, maybe happiness, it's coming through our senses. So let's say a first approach to happiness is when we hear a beautiful music, let's say that somehow we feel very well with that music, or we want to dance with that music. Or maybe when we taste a food that reminds us of our childhood memories and the love that our mother put to the food, or when we see a beautiful sunset or a beautiful scenery in nature, and we get these impressions through our eyes that fill us with a sense of fulfillment. So maybe at the first level, maybe at the more somatic level, Happiness is connected with our senses, and also maybe with a sense for me of being in a family of things. So, for instance, when we sit in a family dinner and we're with friends or with our family, or when we play a game and we forget our worries and our anxieties, um, maybe this sense again of being in a family, being with others, with things. It could also be with our pet, or it could also be with a friend, in a deep conversation. I think this also has to do maybe with the first level of the soul, which is what we call in this work the guardian of safety, because maybe this togetherness bring us a comfort and a safety, a sense of safety. So maybe at the very first level, I would um, I would connect happiness with a food, a nourishment through the senses, and a sense of being with in a family of things. So just as let's say surface level, although there are obviously deeper levels, and these are maybe more fleeting moments of happiness. But I'm very interested also to hear from Lisa and Emmy and you, Peter, what do you want to offer or build or share a story? And if you're listening to us, it's great if you say hi or if you say what happiness is for you or what brings you happiness. We'll be glad to see your responses.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kiriaki. So, a couple of things come to mind with what you said. So, you said everyone is attracted to happiness. And as it said in the recording, everybody really wants to be happy. And then I just thought, well, then if we're attracted to happiness, does happiness attract something from us? Do you know what I mean? Like if there's an essence of happiness, like how do we share that with what you're saying about being with family and gatherings? It's like, is happiness contagious? You know, do people gather more happiness into their lives when they're happy? It just made me think about this for the first time with what you're saying. And I have a little story to tell. So this morning, I was speaking with some friends of mine who are traveling. They're on vacation in Mexico. And well, actually, we were on a Zoom call. So I saw them as well as was speaking with them. And my friend Joan, I said, Joan, you're glowing. And she was just like glowing. And she said to me, that's because I'm so happy. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm traveling and exploring and experimenting. And I thought, wow, isn't that a clue to happiness? Doing what you love to do and being where you love to be. And as you were saying again, Kiriaki, being with friends, with family, things that bring you joy. And for me, I know every time I put onions, I cook onions on the stove, it immediately brings me back to my childhood because very often when my mother was cooking dinner, it would start with the onions, the chopped onions on the stove. And when I smell those onions, whether I'm cooking them or someone else, it takes me right back to the happy, joyful days of my childhood. So that's a great point about the senses. It really can take you to different places.
Yeah, one of the things that you're bringing up is this idea of happiness as kind of a peak experience, which is, the elation at winning a sport or finishing a project or meeting a friend or, all these moments that are, you know, scattered through our life, but they're often out of our control. They just, it's part of the ongoing journey that we're taking. And And the way Aviv presents this in this video, it seems like true happiness might not be peak experiences, but it's more of a slow burning fire that runs through our life. And I think that's where the soul connection to the soul comes in for happiness, is that if we're doing something that is really true to who we are, like say, you know, an artist, when you know, that's what they're called to do, and when they are doing it, yes, there's struggle in it. It's not always 100% happiness, but the work of it and the journey of it is a kind of slow burning happiness. I think, you know, my experience as well. Um, so, you know, so what does our soul respond to? Um, what truly makes us happy, which is something that a lot of us don't always uh, discover. We may come to it early in our life, um, and we may stumble upon it later. But that's probably related to our soul our soul's connection to what we're doing and how we feel about it, and how that gives us a sense of deeper meaning. So I'll leave that there.
So I do want to hear from Emmy, but Peter, just for people who may not understand exactly what it means with the soul, could you give a little bit more information of how the soul is, how it functions in terms of bringing happiness into a life?
Well, I think one of the aspects that is discussed in Portals into the Soul is that our soul, you know, wants us to survive firstly, and then it wants us to always grow, and it will nudge us toward growth that, you know, whenever we meet something in life, our soul will respond to it. It'll either say, this is for me or this is not for me. And if it's for me, our soul will look for it. Our soul will find ways for us to interact with it, find more information. It'll send us on a journey, and that will kind of feed the soul back.
Mm.
And also a third level of the soul is steering us toward our greater purpose. So each life is unique, and what that purpose may be is unique to each one of us and for each one of us to find. But our soul will nudge us toward that. And one of the key signs is that when we feel a sense of happiness or ease or contentment, these are all signals from our soul that we're doing something right. Something is going well. And so if we listen to these things at whatever age, we can begin to understand about ourselves and what our soul is encouraging us to do. So I would say that.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a great, great explanation. Thanks.
Yeah, but listening and viewing the conversations of this this part of the Portals of Perception conversation that we are now talking about, what it caused to me was the realization that where you think and listen and feel from in yourself determines to a large degree, to a high degree, how something is received and to what extent it can fulfill you or make you happy. The example is that last weekend a story was told about a young man who passed, and the family, instead of being devastated, they were mainly grateful for the time that they had this son in their midst. And it touched me deeply, whilst a few weeks before that, the same story had been told and it had not touched me. And this time it touched me because it somehow revealed to me that in our short time that we live with each other, it's so important to be thankful for the exchanges, the beautiful moments, the facts of knowing each other, that we have that is being given. So it shone light, I don't know English anymore, on the temporary aspect of living, and also about the special gift of being a human and being alive. So the point is, where do we live from? Is it from the deeper point of human purpose, or is it from the outer realms? Can also be very important, but it's more fleeting, like Kyriaki was describing. So that caused me to stand still with that fact.
Yes. Wow. What a special family that they in their grief they would focus on the appreciation and the gratitude, and yeah, maybe also what you were saying, Emmy, it's the space we create for happiness, how much space we create inside us for things that can fill this space, that have a quality instead of a more instant rush of excitement, which it's okay. It's okay to have that one as well. But it's important to also have the slow burning fire that Peter was saying, that maybe has to do with what is mentioned in the recording, to be aware and to not be asleep about the significance of the soul and the spirit and the spiritual realms of our life. So let's say beyond the satisfaction of the flesh, or even of the brain and the mind and the emotions, how do we recognize that our soul gets into this special kind of sustaining happiness with meaning? What are the signs? I'm wondering. And I think one of the things that is mentioned, and I think I agree, is when we lose the sense of time, when we lose the sense of space and time, maybe it's an indication that we're doing something that is setting us a bit free from the clock and everything that goes with that, with the tick-tock of the clock. And yeah, I was thinking, for example, just to bring it down to earth a bit, a time that I enjoy very much with my brother and sister, and it may sound strange from the times we share together, is when we play cards. We play cards. We used to play cards from children. Maybe this has to do with that. But when we play cards and we become very competitive as well, it's a part of us, which is a child of us. But whilst we play, we also, because we are relaxed, or maybe our brain is occupied by this, who will win, who will lose, and the tactics and so on, we have some of the special feelings between us or conversations, which is a kind of paradox, but it's true that there is this sense of happiness there. Maybe because we are relaxed as well. And also I was thinking that when a person is really attuned to what they love to do, um, then there is a flow. They are connected to the flow of life, with the flow of life and with the flow of their own inspiration. And this is definitely contagious. And it may not come across as happiness in the level, in this deeper level, because maybe, for instance, a person is inclined to a sense of justice. For him or her, justice is very important. So probably they would feel a sense of happiness when justice is done, let's say.
Mhm.
Or if it's a person that is connected with service, their life is about service, about giving. They might, serve as a doctor or as a nurse or as teacher or as a musician, anything, as a cleaner, as anything. But they would do it from this place of service, and they would forget time or struggle or how many hours they're doing this, because they're really connected to what really feeds their soul, so, and maybe inspires their spirit. So it doesn't have to be always that happiness will be, like the happy end we see in Hollywood movies. And we say, oh, I want my happy end. Where is my happy end? No, life may not give you this sense of happy end. But if someone does the work to really attune to their soul and to what is their natural configuration, then they will find their own sense of happiness. Maybe the others won't recognize, but we will know. That's what I believe.
So
Something you're saying there, Kyriaki, when I was thinking about this conversation, I was saying to myself, well, what are the feelings associated with happiness? And if some of them are satisfaction, contentment, maybe a sense of ease, but it's also very much about engagement and kind of feeling alive in something. And that led me to this idea that a certain kind of happiness comes from feeling like feeling like you're exactly where you should be, or you're doing exactly what you should be doing. And that could be many things in a person's life. If you love to garden, if family is important, if you visit a person whose garden is their space, they love it, they love everything about it, and they put great intention and love toward it, then it elevates that garden, and you can usually see it. And there are many families in the world that you'll meet, but there are other families that you can see that family is so important to them. They've raised this with their consciousness and their intention. They've raised this to a kind of higher level of family. And so I always appreciate that. And a person could have many of these aspects in their life, where they could have, just one passion that they've put their consciousness and their love and their passion to, and that feeds their soul, and that makes them feel alive. So, yeah, it's when you start to look around the world, and where would you see it? It's very interesting.
With what you're saying, Peter, it makes me think of that expression, where's your happy place? And I know when I'm at the beach, I am so happy. It's a happy place for me. Also gardening, cooking things. And I think that's a really interesting point. Like, do we take the time to ask ourselves, where is your happy place? Where is my happy place? where can I be and do where I'm happy and joyful? What you were saying earlier, Kyriaki, about time, it's so interesting because if you're doing something that you love, you'll say, oh my God, it just, we've been here for hours, but it seems like it's 2 minutes. It's just the time flew by. And yet if you're doing something that's, a drudgery and it's like, oh, will this ever end? So it's very interesting about this time and space and just being with those things that that you want to be with. And there was something else mentioned earlier. I think, Emmy, you mentioned it. Creating a place. I don't remember the word you used, but it makes me think of gratitude, because how can, we connect being grateful to being happy? And I do my grateful list, my gratitude list every night before I go to bed, what I'm grateful for the day, what has happened during the day. And that brings me so much joy and happiness to, to call over those moments, those special moments. And then, general, I'll give thankfulness for other things like, still having my mom on this planet. But those are those places where, you find gratitude, like you were saying about the family, being grateful for the time they had that child. That is such a marvelous way to look at life, to be grateful and thankful. And because otherwise we can sit and look at all of the tough times and the bad things and the challenges, which, yes, that's part of life, but can we really hold up those happy moments and be grateful for them?
Yeah, Lisa, there's another point of view that is coming up here, which is experiencing that you're doing what needs to be done at the time, which has little to do with a place of happiness or, well, within, yes, but has not to do with what makes you happy or your hobby or losing time, but the sense of being somewhere just right in time, in the right place, and being able to assist someone. That can cause a very deep sense of happiness. And also doing something what you intended to do that was difficult for you, and then you do it, and it causes a happiness. So the taskings that you want or you decide to do, and then you do them, or longing for a long time for a chance to do something for a specific person, and then being given this opportunity, being thrown into your lap and doing it, that can also cause happiness.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
yes. And in what you're saying, Lisa and Amy, there are two things that come to mind, and is the one is how present you are at that moment, in any moment, in an exchange, in what you do. Let's say you are in the garden or you cook. How much present, and how much you realize what you're doing. And the other thing is consciousness. It's one thing to be happy, and maybe it's another thing to be conscious of your happiness and to be appreciative. And it's like you throw lights on the stage of happiness. It's like you throw the lights, and 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 happiness becomes even more enlightened. So I think being present, being conscious, it's the added lights that magnify, empower, and maybe activate even more the happiness. So you say you cook, and you appreciate the gifts of the earth whilst you cook, or you appreciate that you have food on the table, or that you do it with love, let's say, to the people that you will share the food with. Obviously, it's different than, you know, doing it more mechanically, more habitually. So I'm wondering, what's the relation between consciousness and happiness? Just also to leave it open.
Yes.
Well, I love that question because in all the things we do on portals, when you bring in like a conscious awareness of something, it always elevates. When you are conscious of why you are doing something, it changes the nature of what you're doing. If you're, as you say, cooking a meal for your family, there's lots of good reasons to cook a meal for your family, but if you say, I want to share my love through this food to them, you're absolutely, and if you do that consciously, you're absolutely elevating the experience energetically. I mean, because that brings a whole different set of energy to you, in my belief. And so again, that's with a garden, that's with cooking, that's with any project we take on, that's when we visit our friends, we spend time with people we love. But mostly we do it semi-consciously. Even before we enter a friend's house, if we say to ourselves, this person's very important to my life, and I'm really looking forward to this evening together, that energetically creates this shift, which I think when we bring that consciousness, my experience is that it enhances what you're doing. So there's a thread of happiness that runs through it because you're choosing it, you're conscious of it, you keep aware of it, and that energy has a feeling, which is some sort of sense of happiness, I would say.
Such a good point. And it makes me think of the word, Peter, value. It brings value to an experience, a thought, that we tend to, life is busy. We're all running. Life is, moving, things are going on. Do we take that moment, like you said, Peter, and we consciously say, thank you, or I'm looking forward to this, or how wonderful was this, or, I know, like somebody just smiling, like a total stranger, taking the moment to look up for whatever reason and smile, and what that can bring into your day. But to value that and be conscious of everything going on, that's what I try to do, is really look around me all day long, even when I'm going through, going to the dry cleaner or going, doing errands. How can I, look at this moment and make it special? So thank you for bringing that in, Peter.
Yeah, well, we haven't touched on today because this is a huge subject, but we haven't touched on what distracts us from happiness. And some of the things you just mentioned, the busyness, our phones, our rush, our lives where we rush from here to there, and schedules, watches, clocks, like you were saying, Kiriki. Those things can all distract us, if we're worrying about something. So to take those moments and become conscious of something else kind of can help reset us back toward what we want to be doing, what we choose, and what we intend, rather than being just carried away by what's going on around us.
Yeah.
Focus. You're talking about focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And just not being pulled away by the busyness of the day. Yeah, that's great. Well, this has been a marvelous discussion. I feel like we could really go on from here, and we've just opened it up. But please join us again for our next live YouTube, and go to the site, portalsofperception.org. And we have a whole series on the soul, and now soul and happiness. And please join us again.
Yes, thank you all for being here. And if you have any comments, please put them below, like the video, and share it with your friends. We appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm always happy to be with you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Great. We have a
Great
nice
to have you.
international collection here of people.
Well, good conversation is a source of happiness. So, yes,
Isn't it
thank
so?
you all.
Friendship and conversation. So true.
Yeah.
Till
Thank you.
next.
Okay,
Bye
bye-bye.
bye. Take care.